Well, hello and welcome to another video by Financial Learning. On today's video, we're going to be looking at the Bitcoin mining sector. We're going to be looking at 15 different companies, and we're going to be comparing their short position with respect to the free float. We're going to see exactly how over $3.5 billion was wiped off of these companies compared to 1 week ago. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, we're going to look at all 15 of these companies as a full sector. You can see we have added Canaan to the list. This is a new addition. If you've watched some of my previous videos, I typically cover 14 companies. I decided to add Canaan because they are providing their monthly metrics numbers in terms of Bitcoin mining. So I thought we should go ahead and add them to this list. We will be looking at the overall sector with and without, since we did not have them reporting 1 week ago. But moving forward, starting with the next week, we are going to have Canaan as a permanent member, and we're going to be able to use them when we are comparing the entire sector. But just want to go over a couple of the numbers in case you have not seen my previous videos. You can see the first thing I want to point out is going to be the last price. It is red. So any of the ones that are red, that means they closed red for the day. You can see only Fufu was the only company that actually closed green on the trading day on Friday. And then I want to move over to shares short value, and short percent. Any of the cells that are highlighted green mean that that short interest percent has increased compared to the previous trading day. Any of the ones that are red, it means that has decreased. And then the one that is not highlighted at all, that means it stayed flat. It didn't increase or decrease for the day. And then looking at the free float, anything that's highlighted yellow is going to be a change in free float compared to 1 week ago. And then let's look at the entire sector. You can see I have down at the bottom, there is a row for weekly change. It is about 0.22% of an increase on short interest percent of free float compared to the overall sector from 1 week ago. And then if you want to put that into a monetary value, take a look at that free float value. It has decreased by $3.5 billion compared to just 1 week ago. It is about a 13.82% reduction in value. So again, it's a combination of both just some selling pressure in terms of the entire sector, as well as some additional short interest increase for this sector. And you can see at the bottom there, that last line, this is the total amount with Canaan added in. And you can see that the short interest percent is at 17.36% compared to 18.46%. So Canaan does have a smaller short interest percent compared to some of these other companies, so it does reduce the overall sector average, but we will be using that 17.36% as our baseline when we look at this compared to next week's short interest. All right, and rounding at the bottom of our top 5 list in terms of shorted miners, this is going to be Riot Platforms, that is ticker symbol RIOT. You can see that a short interest percent of free float on Thursday close at 20.9%. Looking back 1 week prior, they were at 20.78%. So they had a slight increase in short interest percentage compared to 1 week prior. Moving down to days to cover, it's at 1.92 days, and then jumping over to utilization at 39.52%. And recall that utilization is going to be the number of shares sold short compared to the overall number of shares available on loan. And then the short score for Riot is sitting at 64.79. Moving down into live short interest percent of free float, this is going to be for that Friday trading period. It is at 21.68%. And that is the percent that I am using when I compare all of the Bitcoin miners as a sector. And the last thing I want to highlight for Riot is going to be the Interactive Brokers short availability. Last reported shares available at 3 million, cost to borrow at 0.46%. All right, coming in at number 4 on our list, this is going to be Bit Digital, that is ticker symbol BTBT. They had a short interest percent of free float at 24.55%. Looking back 1 week prior, they were at 25.04%. So they did have a reduction in short interest percent looking at this Thursday's trading data compared to 1 week prior. And then jumping over to days to cover, it is at 2.01 days, and the utilization sitting at a high 82.2%. And the short score for BTBT is at 69.94. Moving down into the live short interest percent of free float for the Friday trading period, it is estimated to come in at 24.59%. And lastly, Interactive Brokers short availability. Last reported shares available at 1.9 million with a cost to borrow at 0.47%. Coming in at number 3 on our list, this is Mara Holdings, that is ticker symbol MARA. They had a short interest percent of free float at 24.37%. Looking back 1 week prior, it was at 23.85%. So an increase in short interest percent of free float for Mara. Looking at days to cover, they're at 1.63 days. And before we jump to utilization, take a look at that short interest value. This is just for Mara, folks. It is sitting at $1.3 billion. That is right, billion with a B. Now moving to utilization, it's at 73.36% and the short score is at 71.33. Moving down into live short interest percent of free float, and this is for the Friday trading period, is estimated to be at 24.9%. So an increase in short interest percent compared to Thursday. And Interactive Brokers short availability, last reported shares available at 1.6 million with a cost to borrow at 0.45%. Coming in at number 2 on our list, this is TeraWulf, that is ticker symbol WULF. They had a short interest percent of free float at 25.6%. Looking back 1 week prior, it was 25.12%. So an increase on short interest percent of free float for TeraWulf. Looking at days to cover, they're at 2.11 days, and the utilization sitting at 74.27%. Moving over to short score is at 69.65. And then taking a look at that live short interest data, this would be for that percent of free float for that Friday trading period. It is at 25.4%. That is actually a decrease compared to that Thursday trading period. And the Interactive Brokers shorts availability, last known reporting shares available at 2.7 million with a cost to borrow at 0.52%. And coming in at number 1 on our list for another week in a row, this is CleanSpark. That is ticker symbol CLSK. They had a short interest percent of free float at a whopping 27.25% for that Thursday trading period. Looking back 1 week prior, was at 26.91%. So an increase in that short interest percent of free float for CleanSpark. Looking at days to cover, it's at 2.47 days, and utilization sitting at 77.84%. The short score for CleanSpark is at 71.68. Jumping down to Friday's trading session, this is the estimated live short interest data for CleanSpark. They have a short interest percent of free float at 27.32%. So another increase on that short interest percent of free float compared to that Thursday trading period. And lastly, Interactive Brokers shorts availability. Last noted shares available at 1.9 million with a cost to borrow at 0.81%. All right, and that about wraps it up for me, folks. I hope you enjoyed this quick update on the short interest percent of free float for the Bitcoin mining sector as a whole. And then we did break down the top 5 heavily shorted Bitcoin mining stock. You can see that CleanSpark took the cake again for another week in a row in terms of being the highest short interest percent of free float. And recall, we do have additional Bitcoin miners that will be putting out their earnings reports this coming trading week. So I will be interested to see what kind of catalyst will it take for the shorts to drop down in percentage for this entire sector. And also, we added Canaan to this list. I'm going to be interested to see how they do as they continue providing their monthly updates on the Bitcoin mining numbers. If you did like this video, consider giving it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Drop a comment. What is your thoughts? Which of these stocks is your favorite Bitcoin mining stock? Do you hold still? And what do you think about this short interest percent? What do you think it would take for these shorts to begin to cover and to really let go of that grasp they have on this entire Bitcoin mining sector? So with that said, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.